Peace up, A-Town down. Yeah, okay.
Listening to Echo 106.8 with me, Thomas Sampson. Coming up, we've got a live guest over the telephone. He is an award-winning comedian and British broadcaster. He's dabbled in a bit of acting, reading straight off his MySpace profile here. He's written comedy sketches and political dramas. And if you can't guess who it is yet, he claims to be Usher Raymond's twin brother. Joining me, it's Geoff Schumann. Hello, Geoff.
How you doing, Thomas? How's things, sir?
It's okay, yes.
Do you want to be, with an introduction like that, do you want to be my agent?
Well, I mean, I haven't trained in anything like that. do you think I'd make a good agent?
You're a young man of many great talents. I think it'd be a walk in the park for you.
Okay, so basically I've got a few questions to ask you, and then I want to hear some of your award-winning material.
God, dear, oh dear. Not quite sure about that, but anyway,
okay.
Far away.
Okay, so the first thing is, what made you get into comedy in the first place?
I've always liked comedy. I guess I was a class comedian at school. Social troublemaker. I always had an opinion on something. You sit around with groups of friends who tell you you're funny, you make them laugh. And one day I went to a comedy club and I just got up and there was an open mic spot thing and I tried it. I liked it and I never looked back really.
So which club was it? Can you remember?
It was up at a comedy store up in Leicester Square.
Okay, and so you've got your styles of comedy. Where do you think you got those that comedy from? Who are your influences?
Oh, the biggest influence, I remember years ago, I was listening to my brother, in these days of, you won't remember, you're too young, you're in the studio now, before the days of CV, the advent, of course, was vinyl. My brother had a Richard Pryor album, which I used to sort of sneak and listen to, because it was a bit vulgar, my parents didn't allow me to listen to it at 15. So I used to listen to Richard Pryor stuff, I was heavily influenced by that. A guy in America called Dick Gregory, who influenced Richard Pryor. Yeah. I liked a guy called Red Fox. My mentors, or the people I wanted to aspire to, were all African-American comedians. And, of course, there was Eddie Murphy. In more recent times, I was growing up. I went and saw a film called Beverly Hills Cop, and 48 Hours just blew my mind away. And I knew then that, on my journey, somehow I wanted to be a performer of some kind. Of course, in Britain, it was Lenny Henry.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, what do you think, what is it about you that makes people laugh?
Apart from being ugly, I think that I have a particular style where it's like Geoff Schumann against the world. I tend to be angry about everything that, the mere fact that my son gets Christmas presents, all I ever got was school clothes. The fact that, you guys get free travel with an Oyster card. The only oyster I knew of was what we used to eat from an ice cream van, and even then we had to pay for that. I just draw comparisons and try to get the older generation to stop feeling sorry for the younger generation, but at the same time I do have great empathy for the younger generation. But I just think that life isn't as bad. The thought of you being paid to go to school, education, maintenance allowances. God, dear, oh dear, oh dear. We're living in different times. So I guess I'm a social critic, but with a warped sense of anger.
So, I mean, what, you've been doing stand-up in lots of different places, and, I mean, I've known a lot of my family have been to see you, but, what's the biggest response from an audience that you've had, in terms of the laughter and...
I think I did a dinner and dance. It was funny enough, it was a couple of years ago, I did a dinner and dance up in Birmingham. It was a church event, and I was asked to go up and host one Friday evening, and I got a standing ovation. And I just thought to myself, wow, I used to maybe one or two people getting up, but literally everybody got up in Edgbaston and just started clapping. And I was really, really proud. I felt quite humbled and stuff. And a few weeks back, there was a Black Boys Can conference in London. And I got a standing ovation again, and it was kind of thinking, like, wow, it's like, have I just arrived? The biggest audience ever was, I did sort of like 10 minutes of stand-up before R. Kelly was on at Wembley. No, at Docklands about 6 or 7 years ago. That's 14,000 people. And I loved it. The bigger the audience, the more I tend to rise to the challenge.
So you're claiming to have supported R. Kelly before he performed?
Well, I didn't support him. I was working for a radio station called Choice FM, and I went out for 10 minutes beforehand and then just announced the American guy who was going to bring R. Kelly on. So,
okay, so you've got some material for me, is that right?
What are you after? Polyester? What kind of fabric? You mean comedy material?
Absolutely.
It's difficult because it's a bit like when people say, "Oh, you're a comedian. Tell me a joke." Not really it's more more about stories. So the kind of materials that I draw comparisons, like, you know, when I was growing up, there were 3 TV channels with the promise of a 4th one, and television finished at 11:30 straight midnight, and there was a test card of a young woman doing noughts and crosses. So when we were growing up, we didn't have multi-channels. Sky, that was something you looked up in the air at, because there was no such thing as multi-channel broadcast. So I tend to draw comparisons around that, and credit crunch dating, you know, women say it's the thought that counts, Thomas. Well, if it is, you know, she should be happy with a walk in the park, you know. And if she's not happy with that on the second date, I'll take her to the library. So the whole idea is to keep your money in your pocket, fellas, and Geoff Schumann's a man who can help you to do that. Those are the kind of things that I'm generally doing in my material, drawing comparisons of how it was then compared to how it is now, you know.
So, I mean, you know, you talk about, you know, how it was then. You know, I'm looking at your MySpace profile, and it says that your age is 22. Now, be honest, Geoff. Is that a lie?
No, I did lie. I'm actually 21. I'm not 22 until next year. So I can be forgiven for being dishonest.
So your twin brother Usher is, in fact, your older brother Usher.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's strange. You know, women just throw themselves at my feet. I'm not even driving either. They just fall over when they see me. They're like, "Oh, you're Ush." I mean, he's got a 6-pack and I've got a rucksack. I mean, fair enough. But other than that, the comparisons are just unbelievable.
Okay.
You've seen me, Thomas, so you can vouch for that, can't you?
It's a very, very, very big rucksack.
Oh, the politics of envy. There are haters everywhere.
Thank you very much, Geoff.
Thomas, you're a great young man, and I have great admiration and respect for you. Good luck with the show, bruv.
Thank you. That was Geoff Schumann live on Echo 106.8.